Okay, hi everyone. My name is PK, and here I have Adash Kedior with me today, who's a client of the Property Investment Accelerator. And in this video, we'll be talking about how Adash has bought four properties in the last 12 months in four different states, how he used a buyer's agent for the first one, but sort of regretted that decision. Going forward, we'll be talking about interest rates, and Adash will be sharing his top tips on whether to buy right now and how to best buy in this current market. So a lot of pressure on you, Adash, but thank you first of all for making time and congratulations on your success.
Hi, PK. Thanks a lot. It's my pleasure to be talking with you here and the whole investor community. You have a great community going both in Facebook and in YouTube.
Thank you, thank you. And I have to say, I was saying to you before, and I'm especially grateful because financial discussions, personal money matters are often a private affair. And
Yeah,
I'm fortunate, I get to do dozens of these interviews, and it's always nice when someone is actually willing to share. So yes, special gratitude for opening up for the benefit and betterment of the whole investment community.
my pleasure.
All right. So I think the first thing, let's just, for everyone's benefit, could you just take us through, I remember I had a phone call with you. I think it might have been like November, December 2020, almost
Yeah,
2 years ago. And, standard, let's be on a sales call. And, it was a good chat. And after the call, you sort of indicated that you just you weren't quite convinced whether you could do property investing yourself. And therefore you decided to use a buyer's agent for your first investment property. Could you just take us through that journey? Like, what got you into property investing? Why did you consider it? What was kind of withholding you from doing the course? Why did you want to outsource it to a buyer's agent? And knowing what you know now, would you have made that same decision?
yeah, sure. So I still consider myself a recent migrant. I came in 2019, and yeah, thankfully, me and my wife are both in good IT in the IT industry, working well, and earning decent. And thankfully, COVID is one thing which did not impact our industry. In fact, it only made better. Like we have seen the saving rates in all the reports, how it was all over the roof. So yeah, in 2020, like I had a couple of my friends who were looking to buy house as a PPOR. So I started the journey first, trying to buy something. I even put a deposit in southwest of Sydney, in a suburb, like an upcoming suburb. It's a house and land package and all that. Then something clicked saying that no, I do not want to do that. Everyone have their own preferences, but for us, just buying something, staying very far, losing some flexibility, like being close to work or being able to choose a school that for my kid, it's not something I would want to sign up for. And that's when I was looking at different options, and I had all sorts of options. I mean, I had probably some investment companies, explaining to me, saying that negative gearing is the best thing that can happen through property investment. So I'll sell you a house and land package in Melbourne, which would with a 2-year rental guarantee and whatnot. And I could see through, there's something definitely wrong, but I didn't know what it was. And that's when probably I started consuming a lot of content in YouTube, and probably understood about rent vesting and positive cash flow properties and how that would work well for me. But the content I was consuming were all from buyer's agents. So everyone had that, yeah, we can all do that, but yeah, you have to come through me. I mean, that's a secret recipe you can't do on your own. I mean, you have to take professional help. So that's how, and actually, I signed up with the buyer's agent. So yeah, and only then probably I got to look up, look at your Facebook group, and started looking at a few videos. And but I had still, just that was just the initial phase. I had not probably got the complete detail on what exactly you teach and what's the course all about. So yeah, I still, went ahead and booked a call with you, thinking that, I would still go ahead and do this through the help of the buyer's agent because I've already signed up. But I knew that my investment journey would not stop at one property. So I will definitely sign up for you, sign up with you for the next. I mean, that's how it started. And yeah, after the call, yeah, I thought, yeah, it's all good. I don't know the full details, but having said that, I was probably a little overwhelmed to think that, yeah, I can do it, but whether I can do it in time, whether I'll be really be able to, kickstart my investment journey soon enough or not. And that's where I kind of, said, no, let's go with the buyer's agent for the first one. And in fact, I signed up with you even before my first property settled because I kind of was clear that, I do that, do the course, and I want to do everything based on the analysis that I put in and not rely on someone else's, word of mouth and the secret recipe that they kind of, don't share with us.
Yeah, that makes sense. No, that's true. And look, I have nothing against buyer's agents. I think these days there's more than 60, 75 buyer's agents in the actual course itself. But I really want to make this point that if you want to use a buyer's agent, for anyone who's watching, go ahead and use them. But the point is that you don't need to use them. If you have a bit of spare time, 5, 6 hours a week to spare, if you have some enthusiasm, you can do this yourself. And too many people, or so many people, think because of consuming buyer's agent content that you have to use them to get good properties. And I think, I don't know, you might have fallen in that boat or partially in that boat or something like that, Adash. But looking back, and you bought 3 properties after that by yourself using data, using the mentorship. If you were to do it again, would you have still, I know you already signed up to them even before our call, but would you have just done it yourself through the course for all 4 properties, or would you have still used the buyer's agent for the first one?
No, I would have definitely done the course first. It's just that I had to look at a lot more client testimonials. I wish I would have done that before, and probably uh, your contents were growing every day, and I should have, just got, yeah, just wanted to get a little more before. Then I would have definitely, not used the buyer's agent at all. And also, like, you use a buyer's agent, and there are I still, it was a good investment, no doubt, the first property, but still, I know I would have done some things differently. To start off, I did not, the mortgage broker wasn't great at all. So I had trouble, till the day of settlement. That's one thing. And also in the property selection, there are some fine prints which I would have done it a little differently and probably would not have gone for that specific property. But having said that, yeah, it was definitely yeah, definitely a decent buy, no doubt about it. It has given me equity and also funded one of my third property. So considering all that, yeah, definitely I wouldn't have, and of course the money saved um, would have been significant. Yeah, frankly speaking, yeah, I knew that it's one house's deposit that I'm going to lose, and if I continue using buyer's agent, so yeah, that was pretty evident, before before even I started the investment journey. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was somewhere in the middle, and yeah, it was like, I could have switched either way, but yeah, I kind of decided to go with the buyer's agent. But yeah, definitely, I wish I would have not done that and even bought the first property through you.
Sure. No, that means a lot to me actually, because that's my mission statement to empower people, to achieve financial happiness. So it does really mean a lot when I hear something like that. And no disrespect to buyers agents, if you want to use them, go ahead and use them. But the point is, you don't need to use them. And look, let's just go through your 3 properties that you bought through the course really quickly. So the first one is in Queensland. You bought it for $414,000. The rent was $450, so positive cash flow at the time. Great, 650 square meters. Your first property through the BA was in New South Wales, Dubbo. This next one was in Queensland. Then after that, you bought one in Perth, in the Rockingham area. This was last year, I think, and that was for $346,000. A rent for 450, and which is actually increased by 150 since you purchased. So great outcome. 680 square meters block of land. And then your third property, you're still on the journey, but your third property through the course was in South Australia, $386,000. Rent is 400. And look, all of these are fantastic buys. They're fantastic properties. They're all positively cash flow, or at the worst, close to neutral. You know, if you can just kind of share with everyone, what are your thoughts right now? And have a significant property portfolio, 4 investment properties. You're rent vesting based in Sydney. How do these interest rate increases? We've increased it by more than 100 basis points now. There's probably, I don't know, there's probably another 50 basis points, 100 basis points, maybe worst case, 200 basis points of interest rate rises left. As a property investor invested, more than $1 million in the property market in Australia, how do interest rate rises make you feel? Like, does it make you feel a bit frightened? How do you react to that? Because I know a lot of people don't know what to make of it. What's your advice to them, or what's your advice to yourself? How do you think about that yourself?
Yeah. So I'll definitely do the math first to see, how much I can afford, no doubt about it. But having said that, compared to, say, a negatively geared property in Sydney or Melbourne, I'm already, starting way front. So the rent increase on one of my properties, a classic example where, it clearly offset the interest rate rise that's happening. So yes, we buy in the right area, with low rental vacancy to begin with was definitely one step. And that's when, we kind of get the confidence that, yes, the rates are rising. Having said that, in a year's time, the rents will also rise. But yeah, different people are different, risk appetites are different. I can, sense why certain people would love to buy in a certain area, but not others. So everyone will have their own journey. Everyone's, borrowing capacity and so many other things are different. So it's still a customized approach that one should take. And definitely doing the course, you would understand all those things and see, some people think that, the course is all about, a list of suburbs that are handed over and you just pick and choose one. It's much more than that. And it's definitely you take control of, what you want to do based on your personal circumstances. So I would say, if at all you're remotely wanting to earn passive income and go through this property investment journey, yeah, this course is the place to begin with.
No, thank you. And there's one thing that you said to me, I think over email, I think it was, and I don't know if any of your friends will watch this, but you're saying some of your friends were buying, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but like $1 million apartments in Sydney or something like that. What is the rationale for what one? I don't know if you can answer this question, but what's their rationale for buying $1 million apartments in Sydney? And what is your advice to maybe not your friends, but for other people who have a similar rationale?
Well, I think there are some people who are not comfortable with rent vesting. So it's like you have to own the place. You want to be able to do all kind of modifications, and it makes them uncomfortable living in a rented place. I mean, yeah, and I respect the personal decisions of their own, but I'm sure, like me, there are a lot of other people who are okay to compromise a bit on these aspects. Yes, I mean, yeah, I've been staying in one place for around 2.5 years, and now I moved to a different suburb for a reason, just because I wanted to get my daughter into a specific school, and I get this flexibility. So that's the flip side of it. So once we are clear on these things, that there will be small sacrifices, but there are greater gains, then it's pretty easy to make this decision, because then it's all about yeah, investment. What's the best place? The other thing that some people try to do is mix up the investment and the yeah, trying to buy a property which can serve as both as a principal place of residence, and then gradually convert that to investment. But there are a lot of emotions coming into play when you're buying a principal place of residence. And yeah, in most of the cases, it might not be the best investment decision, like if you just consider the investment aspect of it. So I think I respect everyone's decision making, and everyone's circumstances, but yeah, I'm sure they can see through this, benefits and actually go through this investment
Yeah.
journey. Yeah.
And you're a real life example of someone who's rent vesting. And you were saying to me before that, one of the benefits of rent vesting is that you can live in a place that otherwise you probably wouldn't be able to afford to buy, and you're able to get that lifestyle, send your kids to a really good school because you're able to afford the rent in that suburb you may not have been able to actually afford to buy
Yeah.
in that suburb. And at the same time, you're improving your capital, you're improving your net wealth, your passive income by investing. And in the future, you can then have that wealth to buy in that nice suburb whilst having an investment portfolio. So, rent investing is a real thing. And I just want everyone to know that it works. Like it's worked for me. I've talked about that before. Adash is a real life example of someone who's doing it very well. And my last question, perhaps, Adash, to you is, now you're, let's say, an experienced property investor. Um, I know you'd probably be humble and think that you're still learning, which we all are, but you're experienced. You've bought 4 properties. What's some of your top tips for anyone who's watching, regardless of whether they want to do my course or not? Maybe some top tips on how you choose the locations to buy. I mean, all of your properties have done incredibly well already. And also the process of buying, the how to buy. All of your properties have been bought interstate. You didn't catch a single flight. Maybe, sorry, I'm asking a lot of questions, but maybe just some tips or hacks or advice for other people who are wanting to learn.
Yeah, I think one of the first step is, yes, choosing a suburb. There'll be always be quite a few options. You choose based on your risk appetite, and of course, there are a lot of other factors that we consider. But more importantly, yeah, we are dealing with all these things interstate, and having a good property manager is a must. We can't compromise on the rates or anything of that sort. Just to give an example, I was for one of the QLD property. I when it settled, I was in India attending my wife's brother's marriage, and um, um, there were some renovations and things to be done, and everything happened through some emails because the property manager was so good. It was really hard to get all the tradesmen during that time because of some of the floods that were happening in other parts of QLD. But she arranged everything really well, and within a week after settlement, there was a sizable amount of repair work that was to be done on that, but that was all taken care immediately, and it was put up for rent, and the first day itself it was rented out. So having a good property manager is something really important, and um, just me being there, physically verifying things doesn't help at all because I don't have that eyes because I'm not an expert. I leave those things to the experts. And the good property manager suggestions are really, really good. I mean, even for the new rental increase that happened, like there were quite a few applicants, but they were very clear in evaluating who meets the criteria, what's their rent to income ratio and stuff like that. So many things that they do behind the scenes, which kind of makes me feel I have my property in safe hands. So that's one of the main tip I would think.
No, that's a fantastic tip, and I still see so many people in Melbourne or Sydney these days. They don't want to invest in properties because they realize that Melbourne and Sydney are falling in price, so they automatically assume everywhere in Australia must be falling in price. But the reality is, especially where you have your properties, Adash, the prices are increasing, but they just don't know how to buy there because they're not in those localities. So what you've mentioned, using a really good property manager, of course, there's bad ones, there's good ones. You have to find good ones, and they can do the inspections for you even before your building and pest inspection. They can help you negotiate by telling you the state of the property. And then when you get it under contract, they find your tenant, they maintain it. It's remarkably easy in a country like Australia to find interstate properties without catching a flight and manage them because of these people called property managers, not to be confused with real estate agents. So, no, really, really good advice there, Adarsh. And I just want to finish off by saying thank you once again for making time and congratulations. And yeah, I'm looking forward to your future deals as well.
Thanks a lot, PK. It was a pleasure. And just doing this course was an eye opener, no doubt for me. I kind of, even before signing up, I kind of knew it. And going through this journey, being with you, I probably did not mention about the community forum. That's, sophisticated investors, the kind of questions people ask, and of course you and your team answer them promptly. That really helps. And probably when I started, I had like 10 questions for my first property, probably 2 or 3 questions for my second one, and almost zero questions for my third, because yeah, I have them all answered. So that's the beauty of the course, where it's not just about doing an offline thing, and it's an interactive thing, because there are mentorship calls and the community forum, which really helps.
No, that's a great point. And oftentimes people ask me, "Hey, PK, how do you?" Of course, I have a team, but how do you maintain or manage or service so many clients? And like you've answered it, the idea is to slowly, over the course of one, two, three, four properties, to make people self-sufficient. Just like, I don't think you even asked me a single question about your last one or two properties. And there was actually a property in Perth that, you almost bought, but you shouldn't have
Yeah,
bought. And so sometimes it's about saying you shouldn't buy this and why
yeah.
and how, as opposed to what to buy. But yeah, it's about making everyone self-sufficient. I remember that too. So yeah, anyone who's watching, that it's so important to realize that you can be a DIY property investor, just like Adash. You can use a buyer's agent. There are many great buyer's agents, many in my course, but you don't need one. Okay. And therefore, you can actually save that money and put it towards another deposit, just like Adash is doing. So, no, congratulations once again, Adash. And guys, thank you so much for watching. I think there's more than like 60 or 70 of these client interviews now on my YouTube. There's a separate playlist. I'm grateful for everyone like Adash who kind of comes out of the comfort zone. It's not easy or that enjoyable sometimes to talk about money, especially in a public forum, but it really helps me. So thank you again, Adarsh. And guys, hit the subscribe button, turn notification bell on, and give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions about Adarsh's journey or anything like that, you can ask. I'll try to respond as best as I can. We're really here to help you. Thank you for watching. And once again, thank you, Adarsh.
Thanks a lot, PK. My pleasure.